Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of Sisters on BET. So we're just going to jump right into it. We are on season 5, episode 12, entitled Backlash. So we pick up where we left off 2 weeks ago, because there was an episode last week where Calvin was beating the absolute dog shit out of Q. So he's beating him with a golf cart, and he's not thinking sensibly. He just wants some kind of result out of the situation with Q. So he's holding him at golf club point and telling Sabrina to go get her phone so he can record Q confessing to, him setting Marcus and Sabrina up. Now, a good point that Sabrina makes later on after this is over is, Calvin, it wouldn't have mattered either way whether he was here or not, because he was under duress, and so it wouldn't have held up in court anyway. But in this moment, he's not thinking straight. So Sabrina steps in, and lets Calvin limp out of the room. And of course, he gives his parting words saying that it ain't the last that they're going to see of him. And Calvin is upset because she let him leave. And like I said, she reminds him like the confession would have been inadmissible because it was under duress anyway. So it really wouldn't have made a difference. So we jump on over to Karen, and she is upset because the girls are asking her, who is his baby daddy? Granted, last episode, the doctor said it was at, however the math worked out, it was down to one guy to potentially be the daddy of this baby. So Andy is trying to give her a way out, saying, hey, listen, you can go home and think of process what you just got. And then it's like, no, like, we've been involved with this process thus far. Who the baby daddy? Just go ahead and tell us. We're already here. Who does this baby belong to? And so Karen finally coughs up the answer, and she says that the baby is Zach's. And she was like, yeah, basically immediate attitude. Like, yeah, Andy, yeah, it's Zach's baby, and I know you're going to go run and tell Fatima, so yeah. And she's like, and then she goes on to say, like, I always knew it was Zach's baby. No, you didn't, girl, because we wouldn't be going through this if you were 105% sure that it was. But we'll let you live in your delusions. And she's basically just going to throw herself into work at the salon since the doctor has cleared her to go back to work. And Andy just says, hey, let's just not get too much into it right now. Y'all meet me back at the house later on this evening, and we will go through process what we just learned. So they're going to reconvene later that night. They have a lot of meetings at Andy's house after work. I guess her place is the meetup spot since she got the penthouse. I mean, sure. Sounds good. We'll go with it. All right. So Sabrina is sitting there on the couch with Calvin, and they kind of have mixed emotions. Her and Calvin had different opinions on what just took place, and she was like, she can't believe that Calvin really went off and beat the hell out of this dude. And Calvin is like, well, okay, he deserves it. And she was like, yeah, I know he does, but I don't want you to go to jail for it. And so Calvin was like, he wish a nigga would. I wish Q would go to the cops on me. And he's still enraged. He still want to kill the hell out of Q. But Sabrina, even though she's going through what she's going through, she's still logical and level-headed. Like, listen, we can't kill that dude. Hopefully he doesn't come back. Hopefully, he'll go on about his business. But I doubt that he actually will. All right. So she's grateful for him, stepping in and helping her out. And he gives the anything for you, baby girl, speech that goes on in these situations. And she also tells him, like, listen, I appreciate you thinking enough of me to potentially put up the $20,000 for me to get out of jail. It ended up not needing it because Andy and Robin, he fronted the $1 million bill, so we didn't need this $20K. All right. So they're both now switch their conversation over to Maurice and worried about him still being in there and the fact that he hasn't tried to call anybody or anything else. So they got to figure out a way to help him as well because he's also innocent. And she says, maybe Andy can help him too. I'm not sure, but, when I see her next, I'll see what she can do for him as well. And he continues to offer his help, which is admirable or whatever. He still continues to offer to help her with anything that he possibly can. But of course, Sabrina's still, she's still rattled by just getting out of jail. So she's just trying to wash, take a shower, get herself together, just relax and process everything that just happened. All right. So Zach goes to Fatima's office to talk about his meeting with the lawyer. And they both agree, like, hey, yeah, I should probably try to make nice with these baby mamas because it's going to work out in the long run instead of them trying to take me to court for half of everything I don't know got. So it might be a good idea. But Zach proposes, hey, I'll go by the salon and see if I can talk to Fatima. And Karen is like, I don't really like that. She can come to our house and she can talk to us together. But you going to that salon by yourself talking to her, I don't like it, and we're not gonna do that. Which is a reasonable concern considering the last time he was there, it contributed to them knocking boots and this potential baby being in the mix. So I can understand. I could definitely sympathize, empathize, whatever the correct word is for the situation. Insert that there. All right. As they're talking, Hayden pops up in the doorway and just there to gloat and be the douchebag that he is every time that we see him in the show. And he literally only showed up because he heard Zach's voice or saw him or whatever, and decided that he would save himself a few dollars associated with having to get him served. He'll just do it himself. And there's witnesses in the office, so you can't say you got served. So we'll see you in court. MFA. All right. Okay, so Andy, she goes to Robin's office and she lets her know, like, hey, whatever strings you pulled worked. Appreciate your help. Sabrina is officially out of jail. And he's like, he doesn't know Sabrina. So again, legitimate question. He says, are you sure she's not going to run? And she's 110% sure that Sabrina's not going to run because she's innocent. That's just not in Sabrina's character. And he also, goes back to profusely apologizing for being a jerk to her this last couple episodes, just based off of the assumption that he thought she slept with the janitor, which, Hayden put that bug in his ear episodes ago. And so he's sitting there and he's saying, a part of the reason I've been being a jerk to you is because I have a lot on my mind. And so he goes in to give Andy some insight into what he's dealing with. And he took a lot of leverage to buy the firm. Now, I don't know all this legal jargon. I don't know all of it, but I'm going to tell y'all what I picked up from the conversation. He took on a lot of leverage in order to buy the firm. And now the partners are forcing a call. And a call is basically when the majority owners of the company, which I guess he is at this point, by putting up capital and assets to buy the law firm, they put up their assets, their money into a pot. So this is just the way I made sense of it. Like, okay, I put my assets up and I bought a company, and then the majority stakeholders, which is more than one person at this point, because there's multiple people that have to put money into this proverbial pot. I guess maybe to mitigate risks, or, somebody thinks it's the safest option for the company. And based on the majority of vote, we all have to participate because the majority of the people that are majority stakeholders have decided this is what we want to do. Now, we know that this is based on the advisement of Hayden and Gary. Robin has already said he's well aware. I don't know how he knows this information, because I thought Andy was coming there to tell him that, but he already knew the information, right? So everybody has to put up a certain amount of capital. Like I said, it might be a risk mitigating type thing, or, to ease people's suspicions, or whatever the reason is. That's some, high dollar, high tax bracket type thing I don't really understand. But his particular contribution to the pot is $14 million. And he can't get to that money right now, which, again, I assume is tied up in his assets because he took on a lot of risk to buy this law firm. So it ain't that he ain't got the money. It's probably just tied up, and he can't. It's not a liquid asset that he can put his hand on in order to fulfill his obligations to this pot. All right. So he can't get his money on his hands on the money right now or whatever. And so not only that, he is down $1 million of the $14 million that he needs to come up with because he put it up as bail for Sabrina. Now, of course, if she goes to court and she's found innocent, that money will come back to them. But that is a process. We know the legal process. It ain't swift. It ain't nothing, even though, we're all due a speedy trial. Speedy, up to interpretation, depends on which is on the case. All right. So he somehow has to raise $14 million. I don't know if I said it already. $14 million to put into this pot, and he just all over the place because he can't participate, and he knows that they're doing it, and he's wondering why they're doing it so soon. But he knows that it's probably because they know he doesn't have the $14 million to put in because he just bought into the company, so that money's already tied up, and so they're trying to force him out. And he, like I said, he already knows that Gary and Hayden are trying to force him out, and Gary has somehow convinced the partners to participate in this call. Andy knows somebody who can get the money from, basically a loan shark he could borrow this money from, which she tells him, like, listen, it's one of I thought she was going to say madam, but I don't think she's aware of the full scope of what madam can do. And so she says it's one of her previous clients, from one of her divorce settlements. Like, the man is so, high powered, or, I don't know what his particular threat is, but he's so good that his wife was afraid to spend the money that she won in the settlement from the divorce. So, yeah, he probably chopping people up at this point if you ain't paying him his money back. So she told him, like, hey, you can borrow the money from the contact. I'll give you his information. But keep in mind that you might risk getting your legs broken if you don't, get this man his money back. And he's like, I'll let you know if I really need the contact, but I'm a chill. And he's stressed about it, but not really. Like I said earlier, it's giving tax bracket problems that are not within my scope of understanding. Because like I said, he has other companies, and if he loses these, he has others that's gonna, sustain his life. And so, it would be a hit, but it wouldn't, bankrupt him, essentially, is what I got from that conversation. He has other businesses. This is just an investment that he didn't look forward to, failing at so soon in the game. She tells him, gives him his last little bit of encouragement to go ahead and fight the good fight and, keep on keeping on. All right. So we're at the salon, and Karen claims that the doctor told her she can go back to work. I think the doctor told her that. I think the doctor said she's good to, go back and do a little bit of work, not throw yourself in completely, but go back to work and get some stuff done. And so now she's looking for Aaron because she's told him to meet her at the shop. So she'll be there waiting for him to arrive. All right. Fatima calls in a favor with her cousin Madam. And she needs basically a temptress of sorts. She needs a lady to come in and tempt Hayden and make him fall in love and essentially take him for everything that he has. I think it's less about taking his money than it is about figuring out what he's doing to try to take down all these people because he's such an evil piece of shit, is what I think it is. But hey, if she gets his money, it could, if she figures out a way to like scam all his money from him, that could, help him and Gary's alliance fall apart, because I'm sure they have a financial interest, in forcing Robin out of the company. So if you ain't got your money to put up, you have to shut up. So that could work out, twofold for Fatima, if I understand correctly. All right. So she's gonna come by the office. She's gonna ask for Hayden under the guise of wanting to sue somebody who hit her in an accident, and basically take him for everything, tempt him, make him fall in love, get the tea and bring it back to me. So this is what she wants the girl to do when she gets there. So we're gonna see which girl shows up, which she does. We'll get to that in a little bit, but she's on the way. All right. Aaron is at the salon, and him and Karen in the back talking, and she tells him, like, give him the good news first. All right, the doctor's cleared me to go back to work. And he just skips to the question we all want to know the answers to. Is this Zach baby? Who is the baby daddy? And she was like, yes. And he seems okay. This part got a little weird in my spirit because he was a little bit disappointed. Like, I was thinking he'd have a more visceral reaction, and maybe he's just saving face for the fact of insisting on making sure that Karen is okay, because he loves her and that's what he wants. And her mama probably damn near threaten him if he doesn't make sure that Karen is fine. But his reaction was very calm considering the situation, because he really, really, really wanted that baby to be his, so that him and Karen would have something tied together to kind of make her love him as much as he loved her. Hope I'm making sense there. Anyway, and she's like, he's a bit disappointed, but even better question, how you doing? Like, how you feeling? How can I further support you? All these good things. And she claims to be fine. She claims that the exercise that her mama made her do is helping her, to cope with this. And she's getting through it one step at a time. Now, that could be true, or it could be an out of sight, out of mind type of thing from the perspective of, Zach doesn't live with you. You don't have to interact with him. You don't have to hear from him, speak from him. But when this baby get here, y'all got to do the drop-off, the parent drop-offs, then shit might get different. And that rage that you have inside of, as it relates to Zach, could pop back up to the surface. So you might want to keep a a good eye on this, her claiming to be fine. Anyway, she tells him like, you're just too good to be true. You're not, basically, because he didn't have a big reaction. And she asks him like, what do you really think about the situation? And again, he is mostly just encouraging her, how to process everything and get through what's really going on. So, again, something about the reaction was not grand enough for me. Not that he needed to like cry and fall on the floor, but it was only like 2 seconds of sadness, and then it was like, okay, click, switch clicks. What can I do for you? I'm here to be of service. I don't know. Maybe that's his actual personality. It was just something I noticed. All right, so after Aaron leaves, Sabrina shows up, and she's there to get her hair done by Karen. And as I said earlier, she's still traumatized, and she still feels violated, and from everything related to the intake process with being in jail. I mean, hell, I would be too. She has no reason to be there, so she feels away. She's still kind of out of it because she just can't believe like this is her current life and what she's going through. Again, understandable considering the circumstances. And what she wants is for Karen to put her hair back to the way it was. By the way it was, put her faux locks back in and, get her back to how she looked before jail. Now, I would think that might be a way to kind of help her get over the trauma that it is to kind of get back to normal for the time being. But I think it gets a little bit deeper as we go on because everybody, Calvin and Pam at this point have complimented her on her natural hair. And if I'm not mistaken, on the show, this is the first time we've seen, in the series, this is the first time we've seen Sabrina's natural hair. And she reiterates to everybody that gives her this compliment, like, hey, I like my natural hair too. But it makes her, the compliment where in a past life, it might have, felt good. Because like she said, I love my hair too. I just don't like the situation that caused me to have my natural hair out. And she's upset that the choice was not hers to change it by way of she ended up in jail, a place she had no place being in the first place. The jailer made her cut her own hair out, and now she's back to her natural hair because they forced her to take her extensions out in a place she had no place being. Basically just a violation. They had no business. Well, she felt violated because they made her take her hair out, which again, if that's her thing, that she felt violated. It would have been the coffin squat for me, but for her, it's her hair, for them making her take her extensions out and having to go back to her natural hair forcibly. It was the forcibly part because she's reiterated, she has no problem with her natural hair. It's the forcible wearing of it is what is traumatic to her. So she wants Karen to put her back where she is. She tells Karen everything about Maurice and still being in there and Calvin beating the hell out of Q and whatnot. So they're going to go and get her extensions to put her back to her normal or, give her a sense of control in that aspect. All right. So we are back at the firm, and Fatima greets the decoy Tamara, and she wants to get Hayden, like I said earlier, to fall in love with her. Tell Fatima all that he's up to. Make sure we keep this under wraps. Don't let him find out that we doing this little scheme on him. And Tamara claims that she's pretty good at this kind of stuff, and she's got her code switch down packed. Cause she walks in, she got her code switch down packed. She got a cover story. She's pretty much. Madam didn't tell Fatima the full scope of how much of a bad bitch Tamara really is, and Tamara's like, listen, your cousin ain't really told you, but basically I done this a time or two. I got it. And Fatima's trying to give her like some little tips on poise and class and etiquette. And Tamara's like, girl, relax. I got this. And she walks in, giving homegirl, giving skin folk, giving euphemism. She was talking like we talk. And then Fatima's like, he ain't gonna really like you talking like that. And she puts on her good Southern Belle, her proper diction in English and all these good things. And Fatima's like, okay. I see you. Okay. I pick it up what you're putting down. Like she finally grasped the concept. Like Tamara ain't new to this. She true to this. All right. So they got that together. Team on 3. Let's get it done. So the front desk calls Hayden out to the front, and he tries to act like he has attitude, and he don't accept walk-ins. But once he sees her, he's like, oh, damn, she fine, basically to himself. And he falls for the whole doggone scam in hook, line, and freaking creeper from the jump. From the introduction, he's already smitten with Tamara. So this is going to be easy. Now, in my notes, I did put that Tamara, she is the star performer for this episode because that code switch was top tier code switchery. And if you take advantage of the concept of code switching, it's a fine line. It's a skill. Like it comes with a whole lot other than, switching your voice on and off. And she did a good job of portraying like the homegirl and Betty Crocker all in the same person. Betty Crocker? Is that a person? I don't know. It is. I don't damn know. Shit, that white lady. All in the same person. So yeah, she gonna take a fall he got, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm rooting for you, Tamara girl. Don't get caught. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Q. I'm sick. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of him. He is at work at the airport, and he's limping, and I realize he's doing Zach's old job. He's driving the cart and escorting people back and forth and cleaning planes. And Danny realizes that he's limping, and she's like, well, what's wrong with you? What happened? And this lying son of a bastard goes on to say, oh, I got into a fight. That dude, I can't remember the dude's name. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a review. But the dude that spit on Danny that she mowed his ass down with her car, he was already sitting in there mean mugging her. Q claims he caught him outside waiting on Danny, and they got into a fight, and he beat the dude up. And Danny, she's got discernment, and she's like, listen, I don't believe this. So basically in her mind, she's like, I don't believe this shit for a second. What did he do to you that you want to beat him so bad because of how he looking at me? Like, you don't even know me like that. What's really going on? And he's basically still trying to, and this is kind of how he played on Maurice's sensibilities and, wanting to help him out and share his story and being vulnerable. I think he's trying to use that same concept to getting good with Danny. I don't know what the benefit of him doing that is, but he's trying to run that same game on Danny, but Danny not the one or the two for your shit. So she's like, so you let an injured man, because remember, dude from the airport that she mowed down with her car is on crutches. She crushed his ribs. Like, he ain't in a position to be fighting nobody because he's already lost one fight in his life. Okay, he might have won the fight when he spit on her, but he lost a war. He done lost one war recently, so he's not in no condition to be out here scrapping. So 1 + 1 ain't equaling 2. And so Danny's like, listen, so you let an injured man beat your ass, and he is insisting on helping her. He's like, woman, just let me help you. Let me look out after you. And she's like, listen, I told you to leave it alone. I don't want nothing to do with it, so you can chill. You can go ahead and go back to work. So whatever he's trying to do or whatever he's trying to gain by, getting in Danny's good graces ain't working thus far. And I really hope they don't continue working because, she has some insight and she knows what role this man has to play in Maurice and Sabrina being locked up. So hopefully she don't fall for the bullshit. All right. So Fatima goes to Andy's office and she tells Fatima, like, Robin was able to help Sabrina, and Fatima's like, yeah, that's cool. Appreciate you. Thank you for looking out for the homegirl, but don't ever let him talk to you like that again. Because remember, he was like real mean and nasty to her when he thought she had slept with the janitor. Granted, it had nothing to do with him because it was before their time, before their interaction. So I'm not really sure why he had such a visceral effect. But Fatima reminded her to remind him not too fucking much. Don't do it no more. And Fatima, when it comes to men disrespecting women, she gets homicidal. So she kind of clicked out for a minute, but she had to, bring it back. And so Andy is acting weird, like she got something to say, which, girl, Andy, you can't hold water in a damn cup. You can tell that she's just chomping at the bit to tell Fatima, the outcome that Zach is really that baby's daddy. And we already know next episode she's going to end up telling them because in the previews, Fatima's going to insinuate that to Zach. So, again, she can't hold water. And then she's trying to, snake her way out of having to give up her tea by calling Fatima's tea out. She was like, well, Fatima, since we noticing things, you got a tan line on your ring finger. do you got something you want to talk about? So she didn't call Fatima. Fatima has not been letting any of the girls in on the fact that her and Zach are engaged, which they got engaged on the Zatima series a couple episodes back. So that's where that information came from. They're engaged, and she wanted the paternity stuff to settle down before they do that, which is kind of considerate as it relates to Karen, because she knows that Karen is always 2 seconds from flipping out for any news as it relates to Fatima and Zach. So she just wanted to keep it under wraps until the block kind of cooled down because it was hot. That's fair, but she didn't get deep into it, and they didn't finish out that conversation. At least not in this episode. All right. So the prosecutor goes back to Maurice and tells him that the court will appoint you a lawyer unless you got money to pay for it. That bank robbery money, like just being a fucking ass, essentially, just being an asshole. And Maurice is like, I don't got no doggone bank robbery money because I ain't robbed no bank, and neither did Sabrina. So why are you still talking to me? And so the prosecutor goes on to say, oh, well, Sabrina's already out of jail. Now, Maurice didn't know Sabrina had already made bail and she's out. And so that kind of, that affected him. And he said, and you know how she got out? She pointed you out. She put your name in the hat as the ringleader, the brains of the operation. And Maurice should know Sabrina well enough to know that she really didn't do that, but he ain't heard from her. She ain't heard from him. That's how they pit people against each other in these doggone jails, getting confessions and all these things. And so yet another instance of such. And he didn't know she had got out. And he's basically trying to get Maurice to flip on Sabrina. And he's like, listen, sign these papers and you'll be out of here in an hour or less. So if Maurice, doesn't remain strong and he signs against Sabrina's probably definitely going to prison, because now we got Q that's already signed and said that, those two have something to do with it. And then Maurice is going to, pin it on her if he doesn't use his good sense on this. So it's not looking good for you, girl, Sabrina, but hopefully Maurice is got enough wherewithal to know, like, Sabrina wouldn't do him like that, and to tell this prosecutor to kick rocks. That's my hope for the next episode. All right. That's it for this episode. Like I said in the previews for the next one, it looks like Preston's going to find out about Danny running the dude over from the airport, and Tamara solidifies her grasp on Hayden, which I definitely look forward to. So again, that wraps up season 5, episode 15 of Sisters on BET. Let me know what y'all think about the episode. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.